Tony. Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
Happy Friday and welcome to another edition of The Week That Was, the zombie groups of Deadline Detroit, which lumbers on into the future.
Lumbers on.
That's not to take our co-founder who keeps the lights on at that place. But anyway, I'm glad you're joining us, whether you're here more or less live or watching us later on some kind of tape delay. It's wonderful to have you here. I am Nancy Derringer, your host, in lieu of the much more glib and segue savvy Saeed Khan, who is out, I believe, adding to his frequent flyer miles, which are considerable. Let's go around the horn and introduce you to everyone. We have with us Huel Perkins, former Fox 2 anchor and all-around extremely suave guy. Labor and community activist Barb Ingalls. Two of our usual troika of lawyers. We've got Joel Sklar and Bill Seikaly.
Neither Sklar.
Yes,
Neither.
And also joining us on a guest basis is retired Detroit homicide cop Ira Todd, who has seen it all and will talk to us about it. And then holding us all on his broad shoulders is, of course, Deadline Detroit co-founder Allan Lengel. So I'm usually introduced as a veteran journalist, but today I'm self-identifying as somebody who has pushed through this winter so far and thinks I'm able to go the distance. That little break that we had on whatever day it was, Monday or something, when it actually got a little melty out there was gave me the strength to carry on. So Lengel, I should add, is not in his usual grim bachelor apartment in the Park Shelton, but is in Scottsdale, Arizona. And before we
visiting
came on,
the Greenbergs.
yes, visiting the Greenbergs. Before we came on, he was seated outdoors with a very picturesque saguaro cactus rising over his left shoulder. But the wind interference with the audio was too much, so we had to move indoors. So I'm sure you're in some place with those, southwestern stripes on the furniture and maybe a little of those little adobe things in the furnaces or fireplaces in the corner. Whatever. Let's get to it. It was an insane week yet again. Probably the biggest news, and I think we should kick off with this, is the 11th hour and maybe 30 minutes attempt by the President of the United States to block the opening of the Gordie Howe Bridge, which has been under construction for many years. I believe the construction was even started under a Trump presidency, and he's never expressed much interest in it to date. But as of Monday, he said he doesn't think he's going to let it open. So who wants to start with this one? Anyone?
Oh.
Okay, Allan.
I mean, for whatever, Bill may have a different opinion on the deal, but the deal was the state of Michigan didn't want to, for whatever reason, really didn't want to finance the bridge. Canada said, we'll finance it, but then we're going to take all the revenue until we recoup our investment. And that was agreed upon. That's the deal. I mean, but Trump being Trump, who has, screwed every developer probably in New York, decides to renegotiate something. And not only that, but doesn't have the facts right. And then I did a story in Deadline where in part of his True Social posting, he was going on and on about Canada turning to China for trade, to try to get some trade going there and try to take away tariffs and all that kind of stuff. And he said, basically, if you do that, China's first thing they're gonna do is eliminate ice hockey and take away the Stanley Cup. I did a story. I wrote the White House. I said, can you please explain this? And they said, what's your deadline? And I said, there's no deadlines anymore. I say 3 p.m. And so I don't hear from them. I write back, say, hey, just checking to see if you want to comment. They didn't comment because I'm sure they said, are you fucking nuts?
How do you comment on something like this? I mean, that's the thing. That's the other thing that Trump has normalized. It drives me insane. It used to be that like major policy announcements were made, you know, by sane people. Now it's like we have to wake up 7 o'clock in the morning and find out what El Jefe did at the night before on his True Social account, which is just
it's all hold my beer.
It's all maddening.
Hold my beer.
Exactly. So I think also we need to add, and if for those who perhaps do not know this apparently was presented by a meeting between Matthew Maroon, who is of course the president of the bridge company, which owns the Ambassador Bridge, which is going to have its own revenues, shall we say, at least reduced by a competitor a mile and a half downriver. Matthew Maroon met with Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary, and the Commerce Secretary then called El Jefe and briefed him. And an hour later is when we had this Truth Social post about the Stanley Cup and hockey and China and Canada and all the rest of it. It needs to be said here, and I think we don't say this often enough. The United States will own one half of the span. The Canadians paid for everything. They paid for the full construction of the bridge. They paid for a customs plaza on the American side. I think they even added a shooting range. So, Bill, who has represented the Maroon family as an attorney, has said this is a bad deal for Michigan, but I really don't see how. I mean, can you elaborate on that a little bit, Bill? Without violating attorney-client privilege?
Well, I'm not going to violate any attorney-client privilege. I think it's a bad deal for a number of reasons. Mainly this. Who do you think really controls the bridge? You pay for it. Just out of curiosity, who do you think really controls it? Secondly, no one's ever talked about what does paying it off mean.
Recouping.
What do you think the interest rate is? You think they're just going to recoup their principal?
Well, isn't it?
No, it's principal plus interest. That was part of the deal. But now, Republican Governor Rick Snyder negotiated this deal after several attempts over the years to get the bridge built through Michigan. But the Maroon family fought it all the way. Every attempt to build another bridge was fought by the Maroon family. They were paying politicians in Lansing to make sure it never happened. And so when Canada,
I don't disagree with you.
Okay.
Let me back up. Let me go to the end before we go through this process. One, I've made a lot of deals over the years. I believe when you make a deal, you keep the deal. So I do not support what Trump is doing. I think that there's more of a backstory. And look, Ira and I can talk about the fact that it's popular sport make the Maroons villains. That they're not. They're not as villainous as people try to make them. They're business people. They've tried to do things, some of which has worked. Haven't. I quit working for them because they quit taking my advice on how to do this. But that's all okay. They're business people. They're doing what they do. You can talk about how much money they give to Republicans. Somebody ought to look at how much money they give to Democrats. It's what all very wealthy people do.
I agree.
And I would make all of that very public. I oppose dark money, which is where a lot of this got transferred. But they're not villainous. Look, when they studied the Gordie Howe Bridge, one of the things was to make it work, they've got to take 75% of the traffic from the Ambassador Bridge. If you own the Ambassador Bridge, would you fight that? There's all kinds of arguments about it. Look, I don't care. The bridge was built. There's going to be competition. And I'm all in favor of that now that we're here. I don't believe in changing the deal. But it is where we are, and this is consistent. I think that the bad guys here are not the Maroons. The bad guys here are Trump.
Yeah, absolutely.
But here's the thing: Trump did actually support the original deal. When it was negotiated, he was in his first term as the president. He said, "Hey, great, wonderful." But now, since the meeting with
is Trump being a hypocrite, the news?
But the thing is, there are some Republicans who are falling in line saying, "Oh, great, wonderful. He's becoming the mafia don. He's demanding things that weren't in the original deal, but we might get something." There's no point to this whatsoever.
I agree.
Well,
and listen, I think that the real, you want to really get down to the bad guys, it's the Republican congressional candidates and senatorial candidates who support him, not because they believe in it, but because they know that they can't oppose Trump.
Right.
Well, that's the other thing I want to bring up here is Mike Rogers, John James, was it Matt Hall?
Oh, yes.
Somebody else in the Michigan legislature all came out and said, and said this is a great thing that Trump is doing, that maybe we'll get something out of it. I don't know how much more we could get out of it at this point, but whatever. Yeah. What?
I want to read something, just backing up when we were talking about Howard Lutnick, who was dealing with Matthew Maroon. I just want to read this, just a few paragraphs here from Eric Starkman column about Lutnick and the whole bridge thing. And he goes, in late afternoon on 9/11, as I was processing the collapse of the Twin Towers, I received a call from a journalist I consider the best of my generation. He had just watched Howard Lutnick crying on CNBC. Lutnick's firm occupied offices in one of the towers. Cantor Fitzgerald lost 658 employees in the attacks, including Lutnick's brother. My journalist friend wasn't moved. Quote, don't be fooled by the tears, he told me. Even by Wall Street standards, Lutnick had long been regarded as a ruthless operator, and my friend predicted that just as leopards couldn't change their spots, neither could Lutnick.
I think that's probably true. I mean, he was the one who said when there was talk about the Social Security system being sent in disarray, right. He said, well, my mother won't miss a check. Right. I mean, it's like she's got a rich son. Who cares? Right. Anyway, welcome to Steve Fishman, our third lawyer who just joined us. And I hope we can overcome some technical difficulties so we can hear from some other people here. Anyone else have anything to add? Does anybody think that this early backing of this, what I consider fairly outrageous move by Trump in February, is going to hurt any of these folks in November, assuming any of them make it through the primary?
Barb? the news cycle just keeps going, and it's just like we're hearing very little about up until yesterday about Minneapolis. Mm-hmm. And we're hearing less about Nancy Guthrie's. And there'll be a new outrage and off we'll go. I mean, we're still reeling from that horrible witch person's testimony a couple days ago.
Oh, we'll get to her.
I know. So, I hope that people are keeping score, as Trump's brain melts even a little bit more. I mean, his speech in front of the coal people was one of the most terrifying things. And Trump's been around for a while. So I hope it still hurts.
Yeah, I think so too. We'll see.
Who fucking knows?
Okay, well, since you brought up the horrible witch person, and we have our full complement of attorneys now here to talk about it. Pam Bondi, the Attorney General of the United States, appeared before Congress this week, and it was quite something. There was a lot of yelling. There was a lot of accusations on both sides. And what do we all take away from it, Esquires? Anybody?
Let me go last.
Okay, Joel.
Let's hear what Sklar.
I thought it was, it was an obscenity. It was obscene. It was disrespectful to the office, to herself. It was, it was absurd. I mean, it was, again, it's theatric, it's performative. It is the theater of the absurd that we're literally watching. Her responses weren't responses. She's clearly lying. She's clearly not telling us anything. I don't know if she was medicated. I don't know what the hell's going on, but her. I'm imagining a human being sitting through that, and
The Dow is at $50,000. She said.
I know, and those 9-year-olds to help them. But truly, it was obviously a witness who's it's what this administration is, man. This is the depravity here is gigantic. It's beyond anybody's imagination. It's certainly beyond my imagination. And you have somebody like Pam Bondi who's screaming illegitimate questions, in an absurdist way to make a mockery of everything. Her office, the victims, the hearings. This is the further degradation of institutions and disrespect for the branches of government. It's a degradation of the checks and balances. If this does somehow get buried, that would be god awful, and I hope that doesn't happen. But that was an embarrassment in every sense.
We should probably mention, because I didn't set it up right, that this hearing was all about the latest release of the alleged Epstein files, which I don't think we should even call them the Epstein files anymore. It's just the last document,
the Trump files, because he's mentioned more than anybody else, is my guess, and he makes that file. He's been, these claims of hoaxes. I mean, the absurdity of it is maddening to me, and how obvious, this conspiracy is crazy, and there should be indictments. This is beyond serious. I can't believe this issue. I thought this was bullshit when Q was talking about, pedophilia. That's nuts. But my God, it's real, and the scope of depravity is beyond imagination.
It's really interesting the way how this was like we know that they've been behind the scenes trying to redact everything. Somebody pointed out that the word "don't" appears to have been randomly redacted here and there in these things. Until you think about it, that's Don T. So it's like they obviously set the the search and replace to X out anything that was either Don, Donald, Don T, Trump, whatever. Anyway, but what I still think, this was such a huge document dump, such a huge tranche of material, that stuff is going to be coming out over, for months probably. It's like this isn't a Supreme Court decision where you can just have the intern, pick it up and then flip to the end and see whether it's upheld or not. It's like you've got to go through these things with a fine-tooth comb. And today the general counsel for Goldman Sachs resigned after a woman who apparently was very tight with him, and her emails are kind of gross. So, Bill, you want to add anything to this?
First of all, I take it away. I would take this away from the Epstein files. This is testimony before an oversight committee. First of all, I don't see how you can be an attorney and not be embarrassed by what she did. I was somewhat embarrassed by what some of the Congress people did, but senators did, but many of them conducted themselves appropriately. She never did, not to anyone. And she was clearly playing to an audience of one. She was playing to Donald. This is what Donald wanted to see, and she gave it to him. What it established was that there is no longer any independent Justice Department.
Right.
There isn't. She does his bidding. The Justice Department does Donald Trump's bidding. It's not how it was supposed to be. It's not how it's set up. It also established that there's clearly no oversight because nothing happened. In any other time in our history, she would be out of office by now. Yeah. And not only is she not out of office, there's not even a suggestion that there's going to be any retribution. And if any president would have allowed this, she would have been impeached. And she should be impeached. It's not going to happen. So what it tells us is that the legislature is not doing their job. I don't care if you're a Republican or Democrat. You could not look at what the Attorney General was doing and saying, that's what we want our Attorney General to do.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's my view. And it doesn't have anything to do with the Epstein file. It has to do with the institutions of government that no longer exist.
Yeah. All right, Steve, you're last then.
So, look, here comes Alan.
What?
Can't hear him.
Yeah, I just want to say Lila had a question whether
can she be forcibly removed from her position by Congress?
Impeached. She could be impeached.
I don't know if you call that forcibly removed, but They're all going to be impeached, in my opinion, once the Democrats regain the House.
Yeah.
And they all should be impeached. But back to, I told Allan earlier that, obviously for all of us, she's clearly our schmuck of the week. But I have to say that some of the Congress people that were, quote, examining her, they're kind of my secondary schmucks of the week. And here's my problem, and you guys have heard me say this so many times. I cannot stand when these people come in there and they have everything written out. Somebody who went to Harvard wrote out all the questions. They sit like this and they read. They don't listen to the answers, which is what shitty lawyers do when they're in court. And therefore, there's no continuity to it. If I were cross-examining her, and that's what it would be, I wouldn't have asked her one thing about any of the actual details. I agree with what Bill said. It's not the Epstein files. It's not any of that stuff. What I would have asked her were questions, and I would have had no notes, of course, and I'd have been looking at her and responding to her answers. And what I would have asked her, I'd have started with something like, Ms. Bondi, do you believe that this is an appropriate way for the Attorney General of the United States to respond to members of Congress? Blah, blah, blah. Do you believe that it's okay to call a Republican Congressman, Thomas Massey, what did she call him? The scum of the earth or something like that?
Something like
Do you
that.
believe, I would have prefaced something by saying, I know that you and your crew did Oppo research on all the people on this committee. And I don't know what you're getting ready to say about something I did when I was 12, but would you agree with me that that's what you came in here? Those are the kinds of questions they should have been asked, but they're never able to do it because they don't listen and because they sit there and they stare at these goddamn papers, and some of them are lawyers. Did they ever try a case? Did they ever do a deposition?
The answer's got to be no, Steve.
That's what,
Because this is cross-examination 101.
Yeah.
You don't follow an outline. You ask questions. You listen. You follow them.
React. Yeah.
This
to
is
them.
crazy.
Todd's got his hand up. He's probably going to talk about something happened 30 years ago, 35 years ago.
Go ahead, Ira.
No, but really, I was listening to what Steve was saying, and that from an interrogator perspective, and even just being in court a lot of times, I just thought they let her control that whole room. And it's just like Steve said, are they paying attention to what she's saying? Are they ready to counter her on the things that she's saying? So that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Jim Jordan gave him a lot of license. I mean, he's the chairman of that thing. That's absurd too. I mean,
Should have been embarrassed.
Jim Jordan, really?
Yeah.
So he let it get out of hand. You need somebody with, that's going to put that gavel down and say, answer the question. And
understand too that Pam Bondi herself came prepared with notes. She had notes and insults for every congressman she planned to attack.
And
A burn book.
The burn book. Apparently, they took note of what each member had been searching in the unredacted Epstein documents, which they were able to, which members of Congress were able to access. And you were asking about blah. It's creepy, and it's. Go ahead, Steve.
That's my point. There's no sense going back and forth with her about the crap that she's got her little notes. You just want to get her to say one way or the other if she thinks that her conduct is appropriate. Is it appropriate to do it? Even if you're doing it, I would have said to her, even if you're doing it solely at the behest of your buddy, Mr. Trump. Is that appropriate conduct for an attorney general of the United States? If she was some dirtbag off the street that Todd grabbed in a dope transaction, okay, we could see that you're going to get up there and act like that. But this is supposed to be the attorney general of the United States. It's crazy.
Exactly. All right. Let's move on because I want to let Ira share his deep knowledge of law enforcement procedure. This Nancy Guthrie case. It's, I haven't been as tuned into it as some people are because it's not, to me, it's a terrible thing that's happened, but let's fast forward to when they actually have an arrest or they find a body or something else. What is going on? Why is it taking so long to find an 84-year-old woman with a bad heart? I mean, part of me suspects she's already gone, but maybe not. But Ira, what do you think is going on behind the scenes here that we don't know?
I think it's too many cooks spoil the broth. I think it's just too many people involved. They have, it's nationalized right now. It's the media is all involved. Too much information is out right now. I know they got to give a little bit of information out, but when you conduct those kind of investigations, you got too many people talking about different things, and these defenders, they're watching. The people that's out there that had this woman, or whoever had this woman, they're watching. And they're paying attention to all of this. So I just think it's a goat rodeo, pretty much. You have the FBI, the sheriff's department, they're probably clashing a little bit because that's what happened in law enforcement. Everybody want to hide certain things and do their own thing, but you can just tell it's a goat rodeo right now. It's too much out there right now.
It strikes me that, I mean, she's been gone, what, 2 weeks now? And they just now released the doorbell camera video of this creepy looking person in a balaclava and a backpack, like, at her door. It's like, why wasn't
now asking the neighbors for theirs?
Yeah, I mean, why didn't that come out in the first 25 or 24 hours? I would think they would have something like that. I mean, I read a lot of crime fiction, and I've noticed that a lot of contemporary crime fiction is now throwbacks to the 70s because it's so hard to evade getting caught by technology. License plate readers, cameras on every corner, your own telephone. I asked an Oakland County cop once something, and he said, my only advice to criminals would be leave your phone at home. Anyway, go ahead.
It's too many digital footprints out there too. Like you said, like the card readers, they could do a tower dump to see who's all in that area and everything else. I think the sheriff dropped the ball initially, and it's easy to play Monday morning quarterback, but the sheriff released the scene, too soon. Yeah. So even you can ask the lawyers about that. If they ever catch anybody, they got an uphill battle on the prosecutors, even prosecute this case now, because they just dropped the ball, on this whole case.
Okay.
Well, I don't think they called in the FBI soon enough. The initial response from the local police was that the cameras were destroyed. We don't have the video.
Yes.
But when the FBI was finally called, they were able to get to the cloud and get something. If they had called the FBI a little earlier, we might have had, Nancy, that video sooner. That's what I'm thinking.
I also think, and Ira, maybe you can comment on this, it seems like they're just asking now neighbors for the last 30 days of their video and stuff like that. That would have been like the first day.
I mean, that's the canvas that they always do, right?
No, I think you're just hearing. I think you're just hearing about that now. I think that's like just the first procedure you're gonna do. They're gonna do a canvas of the neighborhood and everything else. Right. I think a lot of stuff was done initially, but I think they investigated the case as if it was a walk away or a home invasion or something like that. I don't think they saw it as a kidnapping initially. And then once they called the FBI in, by that time it had already hit the media. People knew the FBI was out there. Even the kidnappers would have known the FBI involved. I would have never let anybody know anything, So it's just.
What do you make of this guy who's asking for crypto money? He says, "I have information." How do you deal with something like that?
You have to vet all these different tips and everything else. But he may have some information. He may not. But you got to understand, a lot of these guys that send this information in, they send them through Tor browsers. Once they send this information through Tor browsers, you can't track these people or anything. So they shouldn't even be leaking that information out either. Even if they call the news station and the news station get this information, they should contact the FBI before leaking this information out. Yeah. You might make these guys run into hiding or even kill this woman or something.
The Tor browsers, I should mention, that's the dark web browsers that are, leave no footprints.
What are the odds, Ira, of her still being alive? What do you think?
That was my next question.
I'm always optimistic, but I just don't think so. I just think that, they had blood. They had blood splatter on the porch. And just from the photographs I saw, it looked like low velocity blood splatter. And so it looked like she's been injured because we know it was her blood. And I just think something happened to her. I think they panicked, and I think they're going to go underground. I think all these different ransom notes will be coming from some other individual or whatever like that. Mm-hmm. But it's been too long. I just really, I don't feel good about this whole thing. But I'm trying to be optimistic. I hope this 84-year-old woman is alive, but I just don't think so.
And I got a quick question for you. How's the media been in this whole thing? How would you say the media's role has been?
Well, first of all, you have a very famous personality who is involved, well-known anchor of the Today Show. That immediately means that there's a lot of attention given to this case. All over the country, there may be people kidnapped every day, but because it's Savannah Guthrie's mother, there's extraordinary attention brought to the case. That can be good and bad, because possibly the motive for the kidnapping may have been that this is against Savannah Guthrie's mother and Savannah has money. So I think that everybody has been showing certainly sympathy and empathy to the family while trying not to interfere or get in the way of the investigation. But it's going to be national news because of the people involved. That's unavoidable.
Yeah.
It seems to me, I mean, the wallet wasn't missing, her phone isn't missing. I mean, there's one of two motives. I mean, it could be a robbery gone bad, but it's also could be just a hit. Maybe somebody didn't like her, or I mean, a kidnapping is a possibility, but we don't see really any. I don't believe these demands through crypto and stuff like that are legit. But
it could be a serial killer too. There's a lot of different things that could be out there that I think people aren't taking into consideration either.
The thing about the crypto, the guy who wants crypto for information, that just smells like somebody who's just piling on because they know this is a, Well,
somebody has already been arrested for
right.
For that. Okay.
And turned out he had apparently no connection to the case whatsoever, but he knew that he might get some money. Mm-hmm. So that sort of thing is also going.
Okay.
I also wonder, when they grabbed that one person and they had him as a, person of interest or whatever, it seems, I mean, Ira, and you can maybe speak to us on a high profile case like this, the pressure to get somebody to give some hope of solution. Right. You've been in high profile cases. What pressure is there to get somebody and provide some news?
There's a lot of pressure, but because like Huel said, because it's nationalized right now, people are going to try to make sure they cross their T's and dot their I's too. But I think they have to have enough probable cause to pull that guy over and talk to him anyway. So I think, they probably still doing it by the numbers, but it's just so many people out there doing different things and they're not coordinating with each other.
He was released almost immediately. I mean, I think they realized that was not a thing. Steve.
And to follow up on what Huel said, who in the history of crime gets arrested? Now, the guy, I presume, had a lawyer. Then he goes and gives an interview to the press.
Right.
An interview to the press. I mean, can you even imagine anything like that? If you want to file a lawsuit, okay, fine. They grabbed me for no reason. They held me for 24 hours. Blah. But he gives an interview. What kind of society are we living in? Yeah. The guy's in there likely was his mom with him or something? Didn't he have his relative with him? It was just crazy.
Well, they're knocking on his door. It's like, you have to advance the story somehow. So,
let me tell you something, Nancy. I've had enough experience with that. I had someone knock on my door after some notorious trial where the person was found not guilty. They came to my house with the WWJ or whatever the fuck it was, and they come and I came out there and I made sure every single word I said was a curse word. Everything. I didn't even have any connecting words in there. Every word of it was a curse word, basically telling me to get the fuck out of here. I'm not talking. Okay.
You're my hero, Steve.
You're supposed to go to people's houses if they don't pick up the phone.
First thing, that is 100% horseshit because I always answered the phone. Anybody calls me, I call them back.
Oh, wait a minute. I disagree, Councilman. I disagree.
But I mean, I
still got a flip phone,
There it is.
I've been sent to knock on a lot of doors by evil editors. They're like, well, he's not answering his phone, so go knock on the door. So anyway, I didn't have a TV camera with me, so there you go.
Let's do a real quick commercial.
I was just gonna say it's about time for a commercial. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in a home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
Okay, let's move a little bit from crime and governmental incompetence and go a little lighter. Is anybody watching the Winter Olympics?
A little bit.
A little bit? Okay, a little bit here and there. All right. Does everybody have a fantasy sport that they watch during the Olympics and believe that if one of us had the right break and training and so forth,
Sure.
you might be out there. What's your fantasy?
Luge.
Mine?
Luge.
Luge.
It's a sled. Am I right? Tell me if I'm wrong. I used to sled. I had it when I was a kid. I went down some
You have
hills.
to go feet first. Which
You want to know the difference?
Sled.
Joel, you want to know the difference? You have any idea the difference between the speed they're traveling and the speed we travel as kids?
In my fantasy, I'm Norwegian to begin with, and I am fucking gliding down the luge. And I'm coming up big.
Ringing the cowbell stuff.
I love this.
Is there a skate on your ankles competition?
No, mine is speed skating. There is something about watching speed skating that I find so hypnotic. Whether it's the short track or the longer distance, that that pose that they take in the back and the forth, and the skates just cut the ice. So it's so beautiful, and I just think that would have been mine. In the summer games, it's modern pentathlon, but in the winter games, it's speed skating. Okay, so does anybody have anything to say about the broadcasting so far? Because I do not have Peacock, and so I've been stuck with primetime, and that's it's like with primetime, it's all ice dancing and ski tricks and all that crap. So I'm not seeing a lot of what I really want to see. Go ahead, Bill, Barb.
I just does anybody have CBC anymore on their televisions? And the stupid time that we have where you're buying the channels that you used to be able to just turn on,
right?
Because CBC, it's such a superior network. They just here are the Olympics. That's all we need to show you, and all the time, right? I mean, they have it in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Not that I watch a sport ball, that. So
yeah. No, CBC is pretty great. I love this comment that we just got. I'm training for curling using a Roomba and a broom. I think I can qualify for it's
I was watching the CBC coverage of curling. I fell in love with the sport.
Yeah,
it's so intricate and difficult and precise. It's amazing.
It is.
So I may try it.
Sweeper. I see you sweep it. You got that thing.
Yes. Do you know why they sweep?
Yes,
that determines exactly. That determines it's amazing.
To melt the ice slightly in front of it, and so they can. Yeah, I was listening in my effort to expand my media bubble. I've been listening occasionally to AM talk radio when I'm in the car. And one of the dumbasses on a local station that will not be named was talking about the Olympics the other day, and they go, "Who comes up with some of these sports? Who decided that we should have a sport based on cross-country skiing and shooting a gun? How insane that is." It's like, have you ever considered what it would be? First of all, it's biathlon. You didn't even know the name of it, but I'm like, have you ever considered what it would be like to be like a soldier in Sweden? Okay, and how do you get through a snowy forest that unless you have a snow machine? You have to go in skis. How do you? And then the trick is. Yeah, or even hunting. Hunting is something that biathlon would be, a useful skill for. So, there you go. Steve.
As somebody whose involvement in winter sports was throwing snowballs at each other on their way home from Bagley Elementary, I don't have any fantasy at all, but I have to tell you, and it probably has something to do with having been an athlete, the athleticism of everybody, the men, the women, the Swedes, the American, whoever, it is astounding to me. He's talking about the luge. You wouldn't put yourself in one of those, Joel, in the rest of your life. I mean,
of course I would.
Every sport, and I only see it when I'm in the gym because they got all 14 different channels, and I'm just astounded.
Yeah.
But as I tell everybody there, these are the best at whatever their sport is in the world.
Yes.
So you shouldn't be surprised when you see them standing on their head and doing what they do.
And just before we started the show, I saw an item somewhere that said that the free condoms that they give out in the Olympic Village, they have already run out. So I think it's pretty clear.
Well, they can't drink.
Well, it's pretty clear that these people are totally into each other. They are beautiful athletes with spectacular bodies.
Well, I think that might be an event.
Olympic
event.
Exactly. So All right. So while we're on that topic, of course, the United States always sends, usually not the president, but often the vice president, to rep the country at the opening ceremonies. And apparently we sent, of course, JD and Usha Vance, the second couple, shall we say, and they were booed. Not a stadium shaking boo, but when their faces were shown on the jumbotrons, there were noticeable boos from other people in the stadium, which is no surprise.
If you were watching CBC, you could not miss these boos. I mean,
right, exactly.
This was not just notable. I mean,
yeah.
This was it would be embarrassing if you had any sensitivity.
Right.
But they don't.
Well, but my point is that NBC, which was carrying them for, of course, the American audience, they muted the boos. And so if you were watching in the United States...
They denied that, by the way. They denied it. Go ahead.
Yeah, but I think, well, who knows? But but as Bill said, it was pretty obvious if you were there. So, I mean, I don't get it. I mean, what are the media when people talk about the liberal media and how much they hate the current administration?
Come on, Nancy. I've got to call you out on this one. What do you mean you don't get it?
Well,
There's fear. There's fear.
They're afraid.
There's never been anyone who's more into retribution than this president. And even the most liberal of the news channels are afraid of him.
Yeah.
I mean, to say you don't get it, you might be offended, but you can't say you don't get it.
Granted, fair point. So I'll give you that. No, it's and it's so depressing because you're right. I mean, it's like Kamala Harris said, it's not what Trump is doing, it's the complicity. And that's just one more thing about that. So, all right.
I think JD Vance eye makeup started running too a little bit. So maybe.
All right. Let's see. I don't want to go back to Epstein, but we did have Ghislaine Maxwell, who went before Congress from whatever prison she's in right now, the Club Fed, and took the fifth multiple times. So she didn't have anything else to offer. But she did say that if she was given clemency, she would consider spilling her guts. So
no. She said, I'd be willing to provide the testimony that would exonerate Bill Clinton and
Donald
Trump. I mean, Jesus.
In exchange for clemency. I guess she's just saying the quiet part out loud, which everybody's doing right now, right? It's just, hey, who cares? Just this is what these guys are doing. I'll contribute to the ballroom fund too. Allan.
I mean, it's clear Todd Blanche went down there initially and wink, wink, hey, shut your mouth, don't say anything. And look, when Trump leaves office, you won't have to serve the 20 years. We'll definitely pardon you. And she's trying to, I mean, it's ridiculous. They have nothing more to get from her short of murder. They're not going to go back and charge her with anything. I mean, she has no, I think, and maybe, Steve might have a different opinion. She really has no exposure. Whatever she were to say to Congress, they're not going to go back and charge. Oh, wait a minute, we forgot a rape situation here. We didn't cover. I mean, short of murder, she's got nothing to,
nothing to offer. Yeah.
Nothing to offer. Yes.
Yeah. So no, but it is pretty ballsy, shall we say, that she just basically came out and said, I'll do this for this. And I'm sure her plan is to leave the country and never leave. Go to some wonderful place like Dubai, but
Fishman had to leave for Ann Arbor. So
okay, well,
if you've read any of those files, if you've read any of it, it's all so much worse. It's just worse than anything. And her name, things that she was not picked up for. I mean, it's the depravity and the depth of it and how many people were involved. And her name, she's all over it. I don't think it would be such a travesty of justice. And I am sorry that of all the people that are named, it's the woman that's in jail. Once again, They put her, but on the other hand, she belongs there.
She belongs in
But
jail.
what are we going to do? You know, it's
her
and
boyfriend
now
took the easy way out. So yeah.
I really hope that it doesn't, because and I saw last night that AOC was going to be reading the files. She was going to.
The New York Times had a pretty good piece today that I just started to read. I didn't get through the whole thing, but they're pretty good at finding context for these things. And they said, you know, what seems to be emerging is not a gotcha about this person or that person or anything else, but rather a system. Okay, a system. It's kind of like what others of us have noted in lower levels in the workplace. There always in every workplace doesn't to be a person who cannot fail, or who fails upward every time. You know, newsrooms are lousy with these people. You know, you're a terrible copy editor, so we're going to make you an assistant department head. You're a terrible assistant department. Eventually, you rise to editor-in-chief or publisher. But I mean, and that's what this seems to be. Only it's around criminality. And you know, I saw I think Molly Jong Fast wrote a pretty good piece last week, and she called Epstein the devil's concierge. And it's like he can get you anything you want. You know, Bill Gates needs some antibiotics that he can slip into his wife's food because he thinks he may have given her an STD that he got from one of the Russian girls. And, you know, he takes care of that. He's got everybody. He's got a Rolodex like no one else's, and everyone's on his speed dial, and everyone owes him something. And that's what he does. And it's like, when you rise into this sort of billionaire class, nothing touches you anymore. You never have to wait in a line. And you can do whatever you want, and you get off for it. So,
and here's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of victims and survivors, and ones that never got out of it. And that's
right.
Exactly.
And there's still three. I mean, not only was the redaction so heavy, but there's another 3 million documents. And note, I think each document is like, they could have a 40-page lawsuit that's included and each one is considered a document. So the 3 million may be a bit of a, I don't know, exaggeration but there's so much more there. And look, it's all really, the whole thing is about really what's Donald Trump's role in this. And I mean, with the crooked Justice Department, with Pam Bondi being so crooked and Kash Patel being so crooked, they're gonna do everything possible to hide and redact, and you know, we can't trust these people. But I mean, we all suspect Trump had. I mean, why would his name be in there thousands of times? I mean, the guy was hanging out with them. They were buddies.
Part of it was also that after Trump was elected for the first term, when Epstein was still alive, he became obsessed with Trump, and he would mention him a lot in, you know, emails to other people. I mean, he was interested in, I think, probably plying what he knew about him, but he, you know, but I'm not letting the president off the hook at all here. Bill?
Yeah, I want to be a contrarian a little bit here. This is not just about the billionaire class. It is not just about billionaires. This exists at virtually every level in our society. It is a perversion. And by the way, there are billionaires, plenty of billionaires, who didn't participate in this stuff because they're not like this. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, there are people at every level. This kind of criminality with sex there's something about our society that just accepts it. I mean, it's disgusting. It's perverse, but it exists at every level. It is okay when you're a manager of a Burger King to rape your employees, and you got away with it for 5 years. It was just one of my cases. But at every level, people cover up for these. In that case with the Burger King, there were other female employees, just like in the Epstein case, who empowered this guy, who covered up for him, who lied for him. I don't understand it. I've spent a career trying to fight this, but This is a sickness within our society that says, hey, you know what? If it's sex, boys will be boys, girls will be girls, and isn't it titillating?
Men have needs. Yeah.
Yeah. But this
I've never understood why women empower it so much, but they do. And it's a sickness in our society that we have allowed to be covered up at every level in our society. This gets more press coverage because it's billionaires, and we like to look at that. But this, at every level of our society, it goes on. It's why trafficking works. I mean, trafficking is one of the largest problems we have in our society, and we don't throw the resources at trying to fix that issue. Why not?
The commonality is in the victims.
Yes.
Almost all of the victims of Epstein were socially, financially disadvantaged, came from broken homes, had drug problems, had psychological problems. And Ghislaine Maxwell would recruit, as you have mentioned, would recruit young women to recruit other young women.
Right.
And so you had a constant flood of these broken women coming to Epstein's home to at least get a sense of worth, sadly.
Well, it's also
they were not women, they were girls.
They were girls. They were 14. Yes, exactly. They were children. They were girls.
They were girls. I mean, that's what strikes me. They were little girls. I mean, a 9-year-old girl. They're talking about a torture, films. I mean, my God. And these are babies. I have nieces who are that. I mean, you got to be kidding me. So the perversity and depravity, the predatory nature of all this, and just the commonality and the acceptance of it on such a high level. I just was amazed by the scope of the network. Epstein seems to be the spoke to a wheel. He knows everybody. He's the hub. I mean, he knows everybody in the fucking world. I was amazed by his reach. I don't know how that happens. That's a study in and of itself. That reach is enormous. So the more that I read, you realize they're little girls. You realize that this is
and like Huel said, they come from by and large, not trailer park homes, but they're from way farther down the ladder than Epstein is. Okay. Yes. And they're pretty. Okay. And they're picked out by somebody, and they come to this house, and some guy, and it's like, rub this guy's back. He's going to be naked, and you're going to get $200 or $300 for it. And it's like, and this house and the pool, and you can get on a plane and fly to the, it's champagne.
You can meet a British prince. You can meet Prince Andrew.
Yeah, you can sleep with sweaty Prince Andrew. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that goes on, and so I mean, I'm always struck when people talk about whorehouses and they say the madam. There's the madam. They're always run by women. There's no master of the whorehouse. It's the women that do this stuff, and so it's. I think it's just got something to do with how. Go ahead, Alan.
Alex asked a question. My question is, why didn't the Biden administration get this stuff out? And I think maybe it wasn't on the front burner there, but the whole push was through MAGA, saying we're going to expose all these rotten Democrats who are tied in. And so they kept pushing, waiting for Bill Clinton and every other Democrat to be pushed out. And suddenly it was like, whoops, we've got a lot. And wait, Donald Trump might be involved. But the train's, going down the track already, and it can't be stopped. And so now it's a MAGA issue there. But
right.
But Alan, this notion that when he writes, we could have been a world without Trump if we would have been smart enough to get all this out while they could. He still has 36% support. My God, how much more does he need to do to get in at least single digits?
There's
as I've used this analogy before, it's like watching Wheel of Fortune, and there's only one letter left before you can read the clue, and people need that last letter. They They can't see it.
I disagree. There is a portion of this society, this country, that will support Donald Trump no matter what.
Absolutely right.
The racists, the
They
bigots,
don't care. Exactly.
they don't care.
They really
Here is a
don't care.
white rich man who promises to give me what I want. The country that I used to have when I could control everything and I can treat women and minorities the way they should be treated, as less than me.
It's not even that, Huel, because I think they, in their heart of hearts, they know that America isn't coming back. They see him punishing the people that they hate.
Well, that's a part of it too.
Yeah, I think that's
They
the
hate the same
But
people.
they will never desert him. They will never
well,
desert him.
Speaking of racism, who watched the Super Bowl and who watched the Super Bowl halftime show, and what did you think about it? I went as far as halftime. I get up early almost every day of the week, and so I went to bed after halftime. The game sucked up until then anyway. It was like 9-0, 3 field goals. Woo! But I'll go first. I loved it. I thought it was imaginative. It was heartfelt. It wasn't nasty. It was witty at times. It was funny. And it was the logistics alone of putting that show on, having a few minutes to set it up and just a few minutes to tear it down and not rip up the field in the process. The music, I could take or leave. It's Latin music to me. I mean, I don't understand the words, but, there's a lot of hip hop I don't understand the words. And so it just, I thought it was great. Anybody?
And in the center of it was one of the most charismatic entertainers that we have right now,
Pedro Pascal.
Well,
Lady Gaga.
It was a lovely little, and John Hamm dancing in the background on the side. But he's so charismatic and he's so amusing, and he just seems like such a nice man on top of everything else. And I like the sound. I don't know what the hell he was saying. It didn't matter because it was clear that he was doing a history of Puerto Rico.
A tribute to Puerto Rico, yeah.
A tribute, but it was like a history of these things. And it was all the things that are good about it that no one comes to it. And then in the end, naming everybody in the Americas, I just thought it was brilliant and it was fun. And I went home right afterwards too. So
when he said the people who are saying, I didn't understand one word, it's like he said, Buenos tardes, California. It's like, if you don't know what Buenos tardes is in living in the United States of America, fuck off. It's like, Bill.
Yeah, first of all, I want to talk just a little bit about the game. If you're really into football, this was a great defensive game.
Yes,
Jeez,
I agree.
I mean, everybody was talking about this being boring. That's the best goddamn defense I've seen ever. It was a great game if you're into football. I know it wasn't exciting, didn't have the glitz.
AFC is weak.
Football, that was great.
The Super Bowls of old. Yeah.
Number
I think
two,
it's interesting.
I don't like most halftime shows. So, but I did think that everything you said about this halftime show was accurate. It was creative. It was inventive. But the noise that people have made about the halftime show, I mean, all these different translations of what he said. Oh my God, is this ridiculous? And I know. Let's have an alternative halftime show with the most misogynistic asshole to ever come out of the city of Detroit. It was
Romeo.
And we see Perry Johnson, who's running again for governor, who's got nothing better to do but spend his millions. He was running an ad saying, please join me in changing the channel to watch the alternative show. And I mean, and they're promoting like family values and stuff. I think with Trump in office, the Republicans have given that up. They cannot promote family values with a guy like Donald Trump.
Well, it depends on what your definition of values are. If it's keeping minorities and people of color down, it's family values.
There you go.
Did anybody watch the kid? Did anybody watch the Kid Rocking Chair show?
I tried to.
I saw a bit of it, yeah.
I tried to. I looked it up on YouTube later. It opened with a guitar solo of the Star Spangled Banner, which was cool and hip and edgy in 1969 when Jimi Hendrix did it at Woodstock. But I would not call that like a forward-thinking act there. And then I saw clips of the kid and everything, and I thought it was Kid Rocking Chair, and who looks like 10 miles of bad road. Yeah. I got to say, I mean, he is. Pardon me?
In his off shorts.
Yeah, his cut out his jean shorts. I mean, all those years of, he's got that skinny fat look, with the little birdie legs, and he just doesn't look healthy.
Don't know what's going to show.
Anyway, all right.
Okay. I just want to say one thing.
Sure,
one thing. I have a deep connection to halftime shows.
Okay.
When I was 15, I went to the Super Bowl in New Orleans at Tulane Stadium.
Oh, wow.
Kansas City Chiefs versus the Minnesota, whatever they are. But anyway, Vikings, and the Chiefs won. But it was the first halftime show where you had an actual star singing. Carol Channing sang a song at the halftime show.
Didn't they have Al Hurt? They had Al Hurt come out and play and everything.
Exactly. And it was sort of Mardi Gras thing. But my godfather was the leader of the band, Southern University Band, which also played during halftime. So I was on the field. It was fantastic. But it has evolved over the years. I don't know if you guys remember back in the early 90s, Living Color, the show Living Color on Fox did an alternative halftime show. Okay. And it beat the ratings for the halftime show then in 1992. So here's what I'm saying. This is going to happen every year from now on. That's cool. Because somebody won't like the act, won't like the music, and there will be alternatives. And that means some other company can make money. But I love Bad Bunny. I love the last expression. There's nothing stronger than hate than love,
Yeah. The only thing.
And America, we are in this together. I thought that was beautiful. But I also would have preferred an English translation at the bottom. I'm sorry. I didn't understand every word. I certainly got the impact, but I think that would have been nice. When I go to the opera, I don't understand German or Italian, but I like it sometimes when the opera does, show me what that's singing in English.
Subtitles are
but I love Bad Bunny.
New innovation with opera. So for years you just had to suffer. So I get it.
Yeah.
Barb.
I just want to say that Brandi Carlile singing "America the Beautiful"
that was
early in that with Sister Strings, who are just an incredible pair of women string musicians. I thought that was incredibly beautiful and very moving. And I'm not a big Brandi Carlile fan, but I think she nailed it in every possible way. Yeah. And it was a gorgeous thing. And I think that that whole thing was a lot more inclusive. Everyone's going, in Spanish and all that. Everything was represented. In those parts of it. And I missed Green Day because we were late to the party, but I'm sure they were great. But this is America. This is this country, whether they like it or not.
45 million people in the United States speak Spanish. So I think that.
And that halftime, Bad Bunny's halftime show, I think, was the second most watched in history. So hey, it's great.
Thanks, Donald Trump. Thanks. All right, Allan, let's go to the last segment.
Downtown Detroit, Robert Wells, Schmuck of the Week.
Right. Ira, we've been having trouble keeping you on stage, so why don't we go with you in case you slip away again? Do you want to start?
No. Bondi, Pam Bondi. I think she is ridiculous, horrible. I think she gives law enforcement and the justice system a bad name. Yeah. I just think it's ridiculous that an attorney would carry herself that way, So Pam Bondi is my Schmuck of the Week.
Good one. Okay. Huel.
My Schmucks of the Week are the right center Republicans who have lost their spines, lost their courage. When Republicans tell me in private they can't stand Donald Trump, but yet, when he comes here to make a speech, they applaud him, they cheer him on. But privately, they are saying what we already say out loud. And it bothers me that there's so few Republicans who are willing to stand up for what they know is right. Those are my Schmucks of the Week.
Good one. Okay, let's go around the horn. Barb.
My favorite humans in the world, Matt Hall, John James, and Mike Rogers, who could not bend over fast enough to Donald Trump's bridge scheme. You kind of expect it of him, but it was like, don't you guys? I mean, it really, this is beneficial to the state of Michigan having that bridge open. And once again, they're showing what they really are, who they are representing, and it ain't us. So,
okay, Joel.
Okay, I'm going to go with Jeremy Carl, who is a white nationalist who was nominated for a position in the State Department by the president. Sounds like a reasonable choice. And he'd taken the position that there was white genocide. And Senator Tim Kaine just established the absurdity of that, how ridiculously stupid that is. Because the guy couldn't find one example, couldn't cite an example where that was going on. What confuses me more, and I didn't know this, I looked into him, he's actually was born Jewish, and then he converted. And I'm thinking, what world do you think white supremacists are going to embrace you idiot? I mean, it's fucking, forgive me, it's insane. It drives me crazy when I see this. The guy's a zealot, he's got fervor, and he is so lost. But he is my schmuck. I thought what Tim Kaine did, was wonderful. But it's just, it's this idiocy. I can't believe that Trump, even the president to endorse a man like this, to sponsor a man like this is such an offense. How is that not himself? With people in my mind, this guy's, you got to be kidding me. So anyway, that's my spot.
Okay. I agree. Okay, Bill.
Yeah, I have to do Pam Bondi and Lutnick, but to steal Tasha's line, I think the real schmuck of the week has got to be the president of Puerto Rico. Used government money for personal gain, has raped and trafficked children, and is actively oppressing and killing citizens. He must be stopped. I think that the president of Puerto Rico should be impeached and then quartered. And how they used to tie in the Western movies, tie the arms to four horses.
Quartered.
Quartered.
Dragged to the street.
Tarred and feathered. I can't think of anything more painful to do to this guy. But if you can, that's what ought to be done to him. President of Puerto Rico is truly an evil person.
Okay. You've obviously never had a bikini wax, so that's it's like tarring and feathering, just only on a really intimate area. Allan.
I'm going to go with Jim Jordan for the hearing that allowed Pam Bondi to be. I mean, it was out of a movie. It was like either she needed an exorcism. I mean, she was the classic mean girl, from one of these teen movies where it's just like, ooh, where'd you get a mouth like that? Boy, oh boy. I mean, it was so shameful. I mean, it was entertaining. I mean, it was just so entertaining because she'd go like to all the, Congressman Raskin, I think is one of the brighter Congress members. You're not even a lawyer. And I mean, the guy taught constitutional law at George Washington University. He's a brilliant guy. And just to see, and then when she said, the Dow or something's up $50,000. Laughing about. I mean, she was such a clown. It was horrible. But Jim Jordan sort of laid out the platform, allowed her to get away with all that horse shit. So.
Well, he has experience in that, doesn't he?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I have a long list. A few of you have already used people on it, but I think a lot of these folks have potential to stay, who are going to keep schmucking up, and I'll have an opportunity to name them in future weeks. But I did, in the interest of keeping things light and amusing, I am going to single out the DeVos-backed online publication Michigan Enjoyer, which is completely staffed by Hillsdale grads and students. And it's about what you'd expect. But yesterday they did a piece on one of my favorite places in Detroit, the Schwitz. And they didn't talk to anybody. They just kind of, got the vibe and wrote this thing. And it included this line. Back in the 20th century, rumor has it that the club was a purple gang hangout frequented by mobsters. no one can wear a wire when they're naked in the steam room, which I thought was hilarious because, of course, the Purple Gang was pretty much washed up by the mid-30s. And transistor technology, which allowed the practice of wearing a wire, would not be invented until 20 years later. So I just have to say, you know, another plus for that classical Hillsdale Great Books education there. So, all right, I guess that wraps it up. And I'd like to thank everybody for being here, whether you're watching us live or later. Thanks to our panel as usual, Huel Perkins, Barb Ingalls, Joel Sklar. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Ira. Thank you, me, and Saeed will be back next week. And Alan always gets the last word.
Drive home safely.